That's James's deck breakfast for today. It's a mango curry sauce on some rice and trout, spring greens, spinach, and peas. And he's having some watermelon for dessert and some of those truffle chocolates. 4 of them. And I'm going to be I'm having 2. Yeah.
Right? Elvis was wanting to have 2 of them.
I am going to talk about Evil Dead Rise, which is an Evil Dead movie. King of the Mountain, and Welcome to the Circle. And that little impatience in front is the last that I have of my seedlings to plant, so I'm very lucky that I managed to have the energy to get that done. Whew. And that one's, I just haven't done it because it's, I could have done it. It's not very hard to find the energy to plant 1 6-pack of blooms, but that one's pink, and the rest of the ones that I've planted in this area here are an orange and red color, so I can't put that one with the orange and red ones. So I will be putting that one elsewhere, and I think I'm going to put it in front of James's house, just in the flower bed out front, because most of his blooms are done blooming already. He gets a big show of
Bluets.
Yeah, bluets and
I like blue flowers.
Yeah.
I like red flowers too, for some reason or another. Though I prefer red generally. I prefer blue flowers.
Well, I've surrounded you with red.
Yeah.
So when you eat, you're going to be happy.
It's hard to lose with flowers. I even like white flowers, which are, as far as I'm concerned, fairly nondescript, but I really like white flowers.
It is good to, red stimulates the appetite. So if you're trying to liven up an eating area, like if you're trying to liven one up inside, you might paint some things red or put some paintings up with a lot of red in your dining room, whatever. But outside, you can just put flowers, red, lots of red flowers, and then that should stimulate the appetite. So then when you're eating things that you may not normally like that much, like spinach or something, and that should work out. Anyway, Evil Dead Rise. So I did notice that Bruce Campbell was one of the executive producers of this, and I hope he makes some money off this. They did a great job. This is one scary horror movie, and
yeah, you actually came out.
I had to leave the room several times.
Several times.
I had to turn it off, go do something else, turn it back on. So it took me a lot longer to watch the movie because I was scared. So
this is a bit different from the usual Evil Dead.
Well, how they started out the Evil Dead thing is I had read about it, that I guess I can't remember the guy's names, but the one who played Joxer the Mighty in Xena, I think he was the brother of the guy who started out the Evil Dead thing or something like that. But anyway, these guys were friends, and Bruce Campbell, he wasn't even an actor. Or anything to do with drama. I think he was in economics or something like that, like something totally unrelated, right? But he was a friend, and they thought, oh, that's it, you're going to be our main character. And wow, he is so awesome. And so
he's one of the best screen presences ever.
And no, he was not in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess when Elvis, stop it! Get inside! Go! You go right in. You have a big mouth.
You guys were yammering and hammering.
Go! Keep going. Keep on going. Don't growl at him. You did it, Elvis. Anyway, back to the review. So, I guess when they did the Evil Dead movies, the first one, they had really planned on making a horror movie, and it just turned out, they tried, and it turned out to be pretty campy, right? I mean, Bruce Campbell, he is perfect for comedy, right? And so, it turned out that way. And so then they went with it, right? You get they had a second one, and then they had the third one. They just went right out full blown into comedy for that one. It was, they didn't even try for horror. It was awesome, awesome. So what was that one called again? Can't remember, but the third one was the best one. So anyway, and then, I mean, recently we've seen Bruce Campbell was in a series, and
TV series. Yeah.
TV series, and it was an Evil Dead series, and it was comical, right? Because Bruce Campbell, he's made for it. He's just made for comedy, and he has been misused in other things by other people because he wasn't used for comedy.
The other thing, he wasn't used at all for a while there. You know, he's just kind of like almost like disappeared off the screen. I'm going, why would you waste money on people who aren't funny in comedy?
Yeah.
When this guy, when he opens up his mouth,
yeah, he's awesome.
He's got a smart mouth, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, some of it's silly, but whatever.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
because it's his delivery.
Yeah. It's perfect. So anyway, the series also, if you watched it, which if you haven't, well, you must, right? The TV series that was out most recently. It also had, what's her name? Xena Warrior Princess.
Lucy Lawless?
Lucy Lawless. It also had Lucy Lawless in it.
See, I've never seen Xena, Woman Warrior, whatever. Is it Woman Warrior?
Warrior Princess.
Warrior Princess. I've never seen that show.
Well, anyway, it doesn't matter.
I remember her name. She's been in a few things since.
She's actually a good actress.
She's pretty good. Is she Australian? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. So anyway, what was I going to say about this? So yeah, Bruce Campbell was not in this movie, and I kept hoping he. But what they went with is the original kind of idea for an actual horror with the Evil Dead. So, and the special effects were great, and wow, did they ever pull off the horror. It was so scary. This one deserves the top of the stack of almost any horror movie I've ever seen. Maybe every. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that is better than this for horror. This is so scary. And you know it's going to be, there's going to be more and more coming. And I hope they make a killing off of making these horror movies. Don't you think about it, there's a lot of gore in here. It's some hardcore stuff. But, wow, I didn't even care. I didn't even care that, like, I'm not really for the gore. I'm not that kind of horror movie watcher. We've talked about this before. Those kinds of horror movie watchers tend to be men. But anyway.
That kind of stuff leaves me cold, I gotta say.
Yeah. But a lot of people go for that. And if you're into gore, well, they deliver. And if you're not, it's still dang scary. You gotta watch this. Gotta watch it. But if you're expecting it to be a funny Evil Dead movie, which I was, that it is not. And there is no Bruce Campbell. It is a genuine horror. That's all it is. Straight and straight horror.
I think if he turned up on the screen, people would start laughing.
Exactly. And I guess they didn't want that. They wanted to go with the original idea of we're making a horror movie, not a comedy, right? So anyway, King of the Mountain. This one, I don't know how it got second of the stack because it's truly bad. But let's see, when was it made? 1981. One thing about it, I kind of got a laugh out of the one song's lyrics, you know. You make me come alive, right? That's funny, right? So, anyway, the song, it's pretty catchy. There's a few songs in here that it's about a guy who does like street drag racing, and his best friend is a lyric writer. So that's where you get the music in here mixed with the really fast cars. And a lot of people who are into fast cars or into music. It's strange. I don't know why that would be. I mean, you hear a lot of people, they get a fancy car and they just totally amp up the stereo and da da da. I don't get it, but whatever. You know, there's a lot of people that are really into that, and there's a lot of awesome artists who are into that, like Tom Waits, really into vehicles, and he's a great lyric writer. So
I didn't know that. I knew he wrote something like a Chev 54 or something like that.
He writes about it, so one would guess he's into it because it sounds authentic. Or maybe he's just catering to this crowd, but I don't think so. I think, you know, I think what Tom Waits writes about is Tom Waits' life. So anyway, welcome to the circle. This deserves the bottom of almost any stack. Wow, it's really bad. It says it's a Canadian horror movie.
Oh my God.
So I'm so sorry on behalf of Canada. If you in another country happen upon this movie, I apologize for the other Canadians who made this film. This is so bad. It seems really homemade and like an art school kind of production. But you know what? The Evil Dead movies were an art school production. They made it on a shoestring, the first one. I can't remember. You can look it up how much, like I read about how much they spent, and it's hilarious that they managed to make a successful movie by putting in such a small amount of funds. But it reminds me of stuff that What's-His-Face was doing. What's his name? The other guy who, David Lynch, who made art school stuff. I think he made Eraserhead when he was in art school. It's a great film. And I was reminded of that because in this King of the Mountain, the street drag racer that he's racing against is a character that you'd recognize from a David Lynch film. So I guess there's a bit of a common thread here between these movies. And it, like this Canadian movie, it says on the back, welcome to the circle. It says creepy, trippy, almost Lynchian Canadian horror film. So they're thinking that, but it didn't, you didn't cut it. It didn't make it. So
that's pretty cheeky when you're invoking. Oh, that might have been a review. Or is that their own blurb?
I think it's theirs.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean,
if it's as bad as you say it is, Lynch maybe should sue.
Well, you can watch it if you want to.
No.
But I mean, Lynchian in the fact of it looked homemade.
Yeah.
Like Eraserhead looked a bit homemade, but it was very artful. Yeah. Whereas this one, not so much.
I've seen too many crappy Canadian indie kind of movies.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that people are making movies. I mean, right now, we could make a movie. Anybody can make a movie. You have the equipment. You don't need a fancy camera. Blair Witch Project showed you that. God. I mean, how much money did they make off of their project? And anybody can make a movie right now. So if you're interested in doing it, go do it. Whatever. That's great. Make lots. But I mean, I think everybody should be making movies, and there shouldn't be people making a kajillion dollars off of movies anymore. It's why anybody can do it.
Most of them doing it don't deserve it to begin with.
And so, if you're making a movie and you're thinking, like in this second one, he's like, oh, you're going to make so much money, you'll be able to buy 10 cars off of that song you're recording or whatever. Should that be the point to writing songs? So that you can make, why? Everybody should write songs. Everybody should play sports or do whatever, like, physical activity that they want. Everybody needs that to stay healthy. Everybody needs to sing, or play music or whatever. We need that in our life. Why not make it your own songs, your own games that you're playing, your own sports, whatever. It'll be a way to have fun with your family. Like James and I like going hiking. And maybe that's not for you. Maybe you like playing baseball or something. Whatever. You know, get a bunch of friends together and go do that. You know, you don't have to outsource your playing to someone else. It's ridiculous. Why are there sports heroes making a cajillion dollars off of playing. They should be working, right? I mean, they can play too. Everyone should play. But you can make your own movies now. Go do it. If you're interested in making movies, make a movie. If you're interested in playing some other way, like I like writing songs and singing to plants. That might not be your thing. That's probably no one else's thing. But it's my thing, and that's what I do. So anyway, James is going to talk about something. He didn't bring a book out, so I don't know what. What were your plans?
Well, yesterday we were hiking.
Oh, so we'll probably
That's pretty well all we did, driving there.
It was awesome.
Driving back. And me, like, almost falling asleep through it when we were coming back to the
Yeah, it took two of us to drive back.
Yeah. I was
usually he's so alert, but
yeah,
this
the
time
last two times we leave. Well, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Then we start preparing from there. And in the overnight, not last night, but the night before, I was wandering through the night and changing stuff around, changing the sprinkler settings around. So I didn't get a continuous sleep, and I didn't get long enough sleep. So. Now ordinarily I'm solid as a rock driving. But last night, yesterday evening, I was having trouble yawning. For about half an hour after we left, it usually makes me a little drowsy. It always has after I've eaten.
Yeah, and maybe we'll have to save the eating until we get home.
Well,
we've been.
I should have just pulled over to the side and just had a nap. Sometimes all you need is a rest. I can remember I must have eaten in Edmonton. I can't recall it, but I was going up to Grand Prairie. Pauline was working in Grand Prairie at one time, maybe 15 years ago. And I'd stopped at A and B Sound. They actually had places that sold CDs back then. That's how long ago it was. And it was probably one of the last times it was maybe the last time I ever bought stuff there, because they were closing out. And I'd bought some stuff that I hadn't had, at a discount rate. And I can remember I'd bought Through the Past Darkly, which was a Rolling Stones Big Hits compilation. It was their second one, actually. The first one was released maybe 66, High Tides and Green Grass. And so I was listening to this thing, and I was drowsed. And I was going, okay, this is not going to go on. I don't want to be a statistic somewhere between Whitecourt and Fox Creek and Highway 43. So I pulled over to the side. And up there in that area, there's one really, really good rest. What do they call those? Rest stations or something?
Oh, at Valley View?
I didn't know. Yeah, there's one there, but there's one. There's a pretty good one actually. That one's great at Valley View.
Yeah, if you're having to sleep in the car overnight and in the way, like in between Grand Prairie and Edmonton, Valley View is awesome. It's off the road, and it's really nice.
But there are other ones that are pretty good. They're fairly far off the road. They just don't have as good comfort stations or whatever. And maybe not even any comfort stations. But I was falling asleep listening to the Rolling Stones. No, so I pulled off on just a regular kind of turnout. And I was so close to the road. There's so many trucks going by there on the Highway 43, going, like servicing various industries up there. That car was getting shaken. I couldn't go to sleep. Didn't matter. All it took, it was maybe half an hour I was there trying to fall asleep, got back on the road, just the rest. I was rock solid the rest of the way. And, it was probably something like 300 kilometers the rest of the way. Something like 3 hours drive. Sometimes all you need is just a rest. But take it easy on yourself and take it easy on other drivers and stuff like that. If you want to be a statistic, don't make a statistic of other people. Have a single car accident. So yesterday, I wasn't doing any reading except for signs, road signs and stuff like that. Hiking signs, trail signs. I didn't get any reading done. So I'll be reviewing a couple of guys on the trail. We were on the Alderson Lake Trail, Waterton town site, up to Alderson Lake. We went a little bit beyond. We went a little around the lake and then a little bit beyond. Maybe 15 meters rise and stuff like that. We're going to look at a fairly nice waterfalls, but Pauline was kind of feeling it. It ended up.
As it turned out, we should have went to the waterfall because James talked to some German tourists for 2 hours.
It was a long time. So they were a couple of nice guys, 19 years old. One guy he was wearing a Pink Floyd t-shirt, and the other guy was interested in, they were both going into psychology. That's the way you pronounce it in German. Psychology. And the one guy who was not so much interested in music, but was interested in
You're being really good right now.
Communism. And he didn't balk at the term. And he specifically Marxism. And he was reading Das Kapital. He would have been reading it in the original. I've only read it but I've read all three parts. I've only read it in English translation. I've read a little bit of it in German. I've read a little bit of the German ideology in German. I've read a lot of the other stuff he wrote, like the economic manuscripts. When was that, 1844? I read them in 1845. No, I read them in sometime in the mid-70s, but I read them only in English, and it's less a day it takes to read the Communist Manifesto. But he was kind of saying communism has been very poorly interpreted when it comes to the way it's been instituted in the world in its various manifestations. And he's just young, and hopefully he'll read a lot of things. And I didn't get on his case or anything like that. He's also bought into identity politics. He was saying Germany's population, if they don't let in folks from elsewhere, from away, the population will go down 6% in the next little while. And that they needed people to take care of their industry, take care of their old folks and stuff. And he wasn't taking into account things like automation. When you're letting in folks who, the vast majority really don't have much of a work ethic, talking the vast majority, not talking about everyone, then they're not going to serve the industry well. There's lots of folks coming into Germany, into Europe, Germany. They're just turning up there for welfare. There's a certain religious group that believes that
I'm gonna let these cool off here.
People who don't belong to that particular religious group should pay poll tax on males, adult males. That's anyone who's got, shall we say, secondary sex characteristics.
Stay there.
So let's say 12 years old.
Okay, come on.
Should pay a head tax or a poll tax.
Come on.
If they own land, they should pay tax on their land, and if they make profits, business profits, they should pay taxes on it. So before this religion really got established, it was moving into areas where they weren't a majority. And the practitioners of that religion, the adherents of that religion, didn't have to pay any taxes because the non-practitioners of that religion were the only ones getting taxed. They were kind of like tax milch cows. Yeah, there is such a word, milch cow. I'm not mispronouncing milk. Milch cows. I don't know if that means milk. In German, it's milk is milch, something like that. It's pronouncing, but I'm trying. So I hope you'll bear with me. Anyway, so there's in this one particular world religion. It's actually the second biggest religion in the world and gaining fast and the biggest. It's the idea is that non-practitioners or adherents of that religion should be protected people. But it's kind of protected in the way mafia protects people. In other words, you pay them money to protect you. Yeah. Lots of money. Way too much money. And it'd be funny, like if you actually, I'm not recommending it, but this is like a modest proposal as in the Jonathan Swift kind of sense. Like if you suggested nowadays that they be subjected where they're in the cat's bird seat of political control, that they be basically the only ones to pay taxes, but that pay poll tax that other folks didn't have to pay, all adult males. An adult, that's from age roughly 12 on, and pay extra tax on land that they own, extra tax on that, on their business profits. Oh my God, that would be awful. That would be, I suspect there'd be blood flowing in the streets, but what the hey? Maybe certain rivers in certain areas, that not just the Tiber, would be flecked with blood. So, yeah, he was saying that he was kind of like the Marxian or Marxist formula of those who don't work shouldn't eat. No, actually, Marx quoted the Bible at least once, saying that. But generally, he said, I think it's more than once. 2 minutes?
Just a couple.